Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Rivers has agreed to a 5-year deal to be the next head coach of a Sixers team that fell short in meeting the expectations under Brett Brown with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Rivers beating out Mike D'Antoni and Clippers assistant Ty Lue, and he gets this job just 3 days after parting ways with the Clippers. And Woj has been all over this story and joins us now with much more on SportsCenter. Adrian, after watching Game 1 of the NBA Finals with Sixers ownership and GM Elton Brand, this escalated quickly with Doc. What changed overnight?
Well, once Elton Brand and Sixers ownership were able to sit down with Doc Rivers, a coach that none of them had had any kind of a relationship with, they felt very quickly that he was the right coach for Philadelphia. They had gone, a little bit down the road with Mike D'Antoni, and they were comfortable with Mike D'Antoni potentially as their head coach until Doc Rivers became available on Monday, and they left that meeting on Wednesday night, and they started to talk terms with Doc Rivers' agent, Lonnie Cooper, and talk with Doc more about how he might see this roster and coaching this team. And they had an agreement quickly by this afternoon.
You mentioned the roster, and of course it starts with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Joel tweeting out just before 6 o'clock, "Welcome to the team, Doc Rivers." What kind of impact, when you look at the expectations, can Doc have with these two guys as the selling point to get this job?
Well, certainly Doc's presence, his stature in this league, and the respect he commands with what he's accomplished, having won a championship in Boston and certainly had a lot of playoff success and playoff appearances in his career, to be able to work with these two on the floor, off the court, and trying to maximize them. How are you going to use Ben Simmons? Brett Brown tried him at the power forward spot in the bubble until Simmons got injured. But, one of the real interesting parts of hiring Doc Rivers in Philadelphia is Tobias Harris. They have invested a lot of money in years in Tobias Harris, and he had his best year in the NBA with Doc Rivers in 2018-19 before he was traded to Philly. 20 points, over 50% from the floor. And I think that was part of the conversation about getting more and finding a way to better integrate Tobias Harris into this team.
Excellent point there. And then you throw in Al Horford and try to fit these parts all together with the chemistry. We did not see that in 1 year with Brett Brown. You mentioned Mike D'Antoni, and he felt like he was the front runner over Ty Lue for this job until Doc was available on Monday. What's next for D'Antoni and his future as well as Ty Lue?
Well, Mike D'Antoni wants to coach, and he had a very successful run in Houston, advancing to the second round of the playoffs a couple times, to the conference finals against Golden State, losing in Game 7. And he was very intrigued with the Philadelphia situation. There are still openings out there. I think one that bears watching perhaps is Indiana. The Pacers are still in the early stages of a search. They've been talking to candidates. They haven't really narrowed the field down too far yet. Still in that range of 5 or 6 candidates. So it'll be interesting to see if Mike D'Antoni in Indiana, if there's a conversation at the very least, for them to have.
Woj, with the very latest as the Sixers have agreed to a deal with Doc Rivers to be their next head coach in Philly.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.